Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Draft Show, the final episode of the Big Bash, as the final is just around the corner. My name is Dan Jadzevics. I am your host. I'm joined by our analyst, Dan Weston, and our game expert, Chris Dixon. If you're new around here, subscribe to the channel because we've got more content coming at the end of the Big Bash, more for the County Championship ahead of time. And if you can drop us a like on the video, that would be hugely helpful. We'll be asking questions throughout, so please comment and let us know who your players of the tournaments are, how many points you've got, whatever things you might want to talk about. We'll be there to listen to you. But we're going to wrap up game week 10, game week 11. Dan, we'll go to you first because you are the guy, or you were the guy at least. I won't give anything away, but you were the top of our three-man competition. 207th in game week 11. I don't know what you did in game week 10, but you've climbed from 141st to 136th. How have you done it?
Well, I managed to get 10 players into this last game week for game week 11. The only player that I couldn't transfer out was Tim David, but I didn't want to take penalty points for that because I wanted him obviously for the final. So I'm actually, and I wanted to try and achieve an even split of 5 Thunder and 5 Strikers players in that last match. And I did that. I managed to luckily I had Mitch Perry on the bench, so that didn't waste a transfer. And so I had say five more batting heavy for Thunder, more bowler all-rounder heavy for the Sixers, and it worked okay. Chris Green got 80. Hayden Kerr got more points than I thought he would get, 98. McAndrew with a few hits at the end got 18 points as well. He was not a bad option actually in terms of being a bowler, and who clearly is probably like a number 8 with a bat or something like that. So that was good too. So yeah, no, it was a solid rather than an unspectacular last round, but I'll take it.
Yeah, you're still doing all right. You're still doing all right. Chris, 268th in game week 11, apparently. You climbed an enormous one whole position from 207th to 206th overall. How's the team looking? Who were your best performers from game week 11? How did you actually kind of manage to manipulate those short game weeks?
So it was quite interesting because I didn't have any triple figure scorers out of all my whole team. I did get a full team out. I got 11 players out, both game week 10 and game week 11, but there was no big scores. My leading scorer was Nathan McAndrew with 80 points. So yeah, there was no big scores there, but I got a full team out, and that helped get all players contributed something apart from Lachlan Shaw who got a big blob. But pretty mediocre week there with I got a full team out, but there was no big scores. I mean, in general, there wasn't really any huge scorers in that game week, I don't think. So yeah, it was all on to the final game week.
It was a tough couple of weeks, and I think by more than luck than judgment, I've actually had 2 very, very good game weeks. In game week 10, I finished 5th overall in the competition with 888 points. A lot of that is to do with the fact that Mitch Owens still got the captain's armband in my team, and I went heavy on the Hurricanes as well. I gambled, but I as we've spoken about, like, I'm in a position where I have to gamble if I'm going to make any kind of inroads. And to be fair, I think there's probably, which we'll talk about, too big of a gap between the three of us now to do a great deal anyway. So 5th overall for game week 10, which was lovely. Game week 11, I managed 11th overall in the game with 641 points. I did only play with 10 players, similar to you, Dan. I didn't want to drop 75 points for the sake of it, knowing that I had these 5 Hobart Hurricane players to kind of be available for the final, knowing they'd already qualified. So I kept Caleb Jewell in the team, played with 10. But it was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it? I got pretty lucky, I think, with Jordan Silk, who's had a pretty quiet tournament up to now. He picked up a few points. Hayden Kerr did pretty well. I gave the captain's armband to Tom Andrews of the Thunder, who again picked up 120 points. So still nothing really to get hugely excited about. But I have made some ground on you both. Just unfortunately, it's come a little bit too late in the day, I think, to really challenge. But if we have a look at the table between the three of us, Dan, you are still sat in first place. You're just shy of 8,000 points for the competition on 7,996. Chris, comfortably in second, I think, 7,663, which my math says you're 333 points behind Dan Weston. Then I'm in third, 7,388, a further 275 points behind you, Chris. is there any hope left for the final, chaps, or do you think are we in pen now in these finishing positions for the league?
I mean, it's a tricky one. There's a bit of a big gap there, but it's one of those you can throw a Hail Mary at and just give the captain's armband to someone completely left field that no one's ever think of, and if they come off and get runs or get a bunch of wickets, then you can close it down. But I guess it's what your priority is. Is it to priority to get as many points as you can and just pick the best team, or are you in little mini leagues with your mates or with your colleagues, whatever, you want to overtake someone and just that's the way your main focus is on. So there's a few things you can do, but certainly with us three, it's looking like our positions are set in stone, but it's not. It's not for sure. So I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, I'm prioritising winning this mini league of the three of us. I'm sorry to say at the moment. I mean, I'm outside the top 100. What really can I do in this last game week with one match to change that in a great extent? So. Fending off you guys will be my priority. I said the other day in the WhatsApp chat that we had, I said I have to make Mitch Owen captain this week just so Dan can't catch up with me. But
I think I'm about 600 points behind you, Dan. I don't think Mitch Owen's gonna turn that over.
But in all seriousness, and fair play to you, Dan. I mean, you might not be able to catch us, or you may unlikely, but you've got the two highest game week finishes out of all of us throughout the whole comp. So yeah, Mitch Owen and the lads have definitely helped you with that one. That's for sure.
Peaking at the wrong time. Oh, and potentially at the right time, but I've just left too much work to do in the final leg. And the final is on Monday. For a reason that the three of us can't quite fathom or figure out. Maybe it's a bank holiday in Australia. Who knows? But it's on Monday. It is between the Hobart Hurricanes and the Sydney Thunder. It's going to be a good game. I think that you got both two quality teams, and I think arguably you'd say the best teams in the competitions, particularly if you look at the points scored on the cricket draft for the players that are going to feature in there. Chris, have you managed to get a full 11 out for the final? Are you playing with 10? Are you using any penalty transfers to make sure you have 11? Are you taking any risks? Is your captaincy pick outside of the box? Give us some details.
Certainly not going to give all of those answers away, but I can say that I will definitely have an 11 out. I'm not sure exactly what that 11 will be, but I'm in a position where I can comfortably get, I'd be able to get a full 15 out if the game allowed it, but you actually only allowed 7 per team, so I'm actually limited by that. So I'll have 14 players there on the bench, just in case something does happen. As for what I'm going to do with the captain's armband, I'm not sure yet. Do I want to just get as many points as I can? That's the logical thing to do for me, or do I want to focus on the mini league? But yeah, I'll get a full team out and then I'll assess my options in terms of very funky things that I can do to maybe close the gap.
Dan, is your response here just I'm just going to play it safe and pick the obvious players that I know are going to get points. I'll pick the captain that's going to go well and just cover us both off, or are you looking into this as a bit of a deeper look?
Well, I've had a good look at it, but I think that my best approach probably will be kind of the relatively safe approach going into this last match. Obviously, one of the things that we've got to work out between us three and also everyone that's playing this game still is whether you want that 6-5 split from one team to another or the 7-4 split from one team to the other as well. So how that sort of manifests itself could be a real game changer. So, for example, if one of us has got seven Hurricanes and the other one's got 7 Thunder, then that might make a big difference in terms of catching people up or an unusual captain or something like that. So there's a couple of options actually. I've been through the sort of percentages of players picked. There are a few options for a really random captain, but then obviously that can backfire as well as potentially make a big gap as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm delighted to say that I will have 11 players out on the pitch, which is great. I've got 3 players on the bench as well that I can kind of just fiddle about with if I need to. I've got a spare Hurricane and 2 spare Thunder players, which is great to have that bit of flexibility because I don't exactly know how I'm going to line up yet. I am in that kind of position though where I should just be risky. I should pick the strange captain because if by any miracle something crazy does happen, I don't think I'm catching Dan, but I think there could be a chance, as you said, Chris, that I could be breathing down your neck come the end of the final if if I get lucky, which I kind of have over the last couple of weeks. I basically spent my time looking at players who I can, one, afford, and two, who have low percentage ownerships in an attempt to try and kind of make a bit of ground and do something a bit different. My big question, though, is going to be whether I keep Mitch Owen as captain, because I think he's been my point of difference up to now, but I think a few people might be starting to cotton on to the fact that he's quite a good option as a skipper.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually really surprised he's under 50% ownership still.
Yeah. Mad. Justice for Mitch Owen. Come on.
Yeah, well, maybe that might change this game week, but you think that the majority of people would have him in their team.
You'd think so. Anyway, looking back at the rest of the tournament that's just gone and we got to the end of, Chris, we've all been asked as to who our player of the tournament was, whether that's for pure statistical analysis, enjoyment analysis, or whether it was just for the amount of points that they've accrued on the cricket draft. But who's been your player of the tournament for the Big Bash in 24-25?
So I'm a statsman, so I had to look over the batting averages and strike rates and the bowling numbers, and I'm actually slightly surprised, but I'm going to go for Glenn Maxwell, who had a batting average he had scored 325 runs at an average of over 50, 54.16, and a strike rate of 186.78. Towards the back end of the tournament, certainly he got a lot of his runs, but I was thinking maybe it would be someone like a Mitch Owen, but actually he's only got about 20 odd less runs and he's got a significantly better average, and the strike rate is very similar, and he's played less games, so ultimately that's the reason I'm going for Glenn Maxwell. I think he's probably got a wicket or two in there as well, maybe bowled a few overs, so Glenn Maxwell is the person I'm going for.
How about you, Dan? Doubling up on Glenn Maxwell?
No. I'm actually going to go for Matt Short, despite the fact that I don't think I've actually had him in my team for the duration of the whole game. But just purely because I looked at it from a statistical perspective, but from a different statistical perspective to Chris, in that he had out of the players who played regularly in the tournament, he had the highest points per game average at a shade over 120. So I think that's a great achievement. There was no players anywhere near that with my pre-tournament model. So he's really outperformed the model, and I think I have to give him credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, mine is Mitch Owen. I don't think that's going to come as a huge surprise with the way that I've spoken about him over the last couple of weeks. But I had a look into some of the numbers. He scored 344 runs in the competition so far, obviously with the game still to play, with 100. He's got a strike rate of over 190, which almost sounds mythical, I think, to be honest. And of the 344 runs that he scored, 266 of them have come from boundaries. I think it's 29 fours and 25 sixes, or the other way around in his stats column, which is crazy. The other thing as well, when you look at it from a cricket draft perspective, he's £4.7 million. He's ticked over 1,000 points in the competition and is going at 108 points a game. How Mitch Owen has slipped through the radar and the pricing kind of network for that is crazy. I dare say in the Big Bash in 25-26, he might be worth slightly more than 4.7 million when I'm coming to pick my team next year. But I think that the three quality players at the end of the day, aren't they? There's expensive options there. You've got box office options, and then you've got Mitch Owen, who's a bit of an unknown quantity, which has really kind of taken the competition by storm. But thank you, chaps. That's been very, very good fun. I wish you all the best for the final. I mean, wouldn't it be great to kind of talk about how the fact that I've come from third to first on the final, because Mitch Owen's got the captain's armband and he's scored a double 100 against the Thunder off 50 balls or something crazy like that. But there's other things to play. There's other people playing this game. It's not just us three. We do currently have Stuart is leading the overall cricket draft league on 9,888 points. So undoubtedly we'll be looking to break that 10,000 point mark. And Stuart has a 400-point lead over the person in second place. So if you and I, Chris, are looking for a Hail Mary miracle, Seb, who's in second on 9,441 points, is going to be looking for a similar miracle. Third place is more interesting, though. There's 8 players currently covered by 100 points from third place downwards. So the bronze medal is all up for grabs. But look, good luck for the final. Thank you so much for your time joining us through this series. We've really enjoyed creating it for you. And we hope that we've provided you with entertainment and information and some knowledge, which may or may not have helped you pick your teams through the competition. But yeah, leave us a comment, drop us a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time for some more cricket draft content.